Sprinkled throughout this first series of interviews with Surrendering to the Signs, I wanted to include shorter conversations with people about their experience of the signs. And the first one we have here today is with Sarah Nicotra, who I've partnered with over the years multiple times in terms of collaboration and support in the work that I do with leading retreats and putting together programs for folks. And here she is, she and I in a dialogue about our interpretation of the signs. I'm here today with my dear friend, collaborator, and co-conspirator, Sarah Nicotra, as we dive into a conversation about surrendering to the signs. Now, the first time Sarah and I met was, I believe, around 2012. We'd been in an online training program together, and she reached out. And while we were talking, Sarah looked up into the sky and said, "You're not going to believe this, but there are a whole bunch of hawks circling around above my house." That was our first conversation.
I think it was 2 hawks, because that continues to be like our sign when we're together. We're always the hawks are always talking to me.
So as you think about the signs and your journey and your path, how do you feel supported by that? How do you feel informed by that? How can people notice and even start to think about signs for themselves?
I appreciate that question. And for me, it's stepping outside and communing and just being with and noticing nature. I love birds. I've always loved birds. I love all kinds of birds, but hawks in particular have always shown, I can go months without seeing a hawk. So it's not like every day, right? But when I'm really talking with spirit and asking for direction, or I'm picking up, vibes on, just the collective, it gets really heavy. There's always a hawk that swoops in, and I always have these really close encounters. And for me, that's kind of like feeling like, spirit answered my prayer or heard me. And it's how I feel a deep connection, are these ongoing just occurrences.
You either see it as an answer to a question you're posing out to the universe,
Mm-hmm.
or a request that you have in some way,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're getting a response symbolically.
Yes. Or like yesterday, you and I had a conversation, and it's so funny because for years I pushed you out of the nest to do things, but you push me out of the nest too, especially with my, spiritual intuitive side. And yesterday we were engaged in a discussion that was really talking about, some energetic themes that maybe are attached to the body that, repeat after lifetimes. And you were encouraging me to kind of, bring this aspect of myself like even more forward into my work with others. And then boom, hawk in the tree, like right in my tree, like right there. And then it hopped into my yard. And I'm just like, okay, Laura, I'm listening.
What you give to me is so incredible. It's in me, I'm my own creditor. And the world is full with predators. But you show me the good and I'm getting there.
That's how I felt. That's how I interpret it. It's not a big story, but it's like a mini affirmation. And a couple months ago, I was on a walk with my husband and just a few houses down from here. And this hawk was sitting like in this evergreen tree, and behind it was the sun. And for a minute, I thought I was seeing like Mother Mary, right? Like this, I don't know what it was, but it was magical, right? And I just took it in. And I mean, he stood there for like 20 minutes. My family thinks I'm crazy when I go out and I coo at the crows or I'm admiring the hawks, but I enjoy it. And for me, that's how I feel connected with spirit.
Say that again about the bird with no nest in your garden.
You want me to tell you the story about the bird that's speaking to me right now, day after day, for a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently started a podcast called Rare Bird. It's really a project of the heart. And I have been dealing with a lot of insecurity, difficulty with, visibility. Okay. Being visible to others authentically in who I am and what I want to talk about. About the time that I launched this project, I have like a family of sparrows. They've taken up in my porch in like in the roof section. And one bird has been kicked out of the nest. Okay. And every day they're squabbling during the daytime. This bird tries to make it back into the nest, and the little group, they're like, no, you can't. So this poor bird has no nest, and it's wintertime. So it has decided to live in this little nook right above this chair. I always go sit outside, listen to the birds, or just like be by myself because I have 3 kids, a husband, and like 4 animals. It's like a zoo over here, right? So this bird, it's freezing, but it's like right above my right shoulder. And it's there day after day after day. I have so many bird houses, like fluffy things. I've hung them all up by it. It doesn't want it. It's out in the open, right above my shoulder. And I got to tell you, when I sit outside, I'm like, this bird is talking to me. This is not a coincidence with my project, with my voice. Like, I'm really trying to create more healing for myself by using my self-expression. And I feel like this bird is a little messenger that's telling me, yes, Sarah, one more step. So it's not a big involved story, but it's enough that I know that spirit is talking to me and encouraging me. And I got to tell you, I need that kind of encouragement from spirit to make decisions in my life. If I don't have it, I don't do it. That's like my own life philosophy. So I don't really know what the deal with this bird is, but I love it. And when I sit outside, I feel like a goddess, Frigga from the Norse pantheon way back. She's always got like a hawk or a bird like above her right shoulder. And that's what I feel like when I sit outside. And so this bird is like giving me life.
I can see birds flying. I see children smiling. When I think about all of the things that you and me could be.
It's a small thing, but that's what the signs are. People think, oh, I'm going to have some, burning bush or, some finger coming down saying, get thee to a nunnery or whatever. But it's like, it can be these small little winks and nudges in a way.
Totally. And you can hear my cuckoo clock in the background just affirming what you're saying.
I recently read that bird song regulates our nervous system. So if we just stand outside in the morning and listen to the birds chirping, we can self-regulate very quickly. So I've really been trying to pay attention in the morning when I step outside, even if it's just for a couple minutes with my coffee, just to really pay attention and listen to the birds and try to imagine my system kind of syncing up with their song.
You and I worked together for a long time, and then we took a break and we've come back together. But during that break, it was a 3-year period. All I did was sit outside and listen to the birds for years. because I needed deep physical, emotional, spiritual healing. Like I just hit total rock bottom and had to like reboot my entire being. And I have to tell you that the birds have been a critical part of that. It's important to be centered, like right now with things being so bizarre and upside down, like I'm feeling the call to find my center and to just share that. And if other people benefit from it, great. But I'm in a place where I need to be doing creative acts and putting it out in the world again, because that's a form of healing.
So when you talk about your journey, when you think about the path you've been on, what stands out for you in terms of lessons learned, or when you look back to where you thought you were going to be in life and where you are now? What stands out for you?
What stands out for me is, recently I had some things go awry. Like I've had appointments and then something happens and things don't go as planned, but it's ended up being a portal to better things for my kids, for myself, for surprise. And it's opened the door to, like I went to this school presentation that my kid did and it was amazing. And it like blew my heart open. Like you wouldn't think that that would happen at like a boring school presentation, but it did. And so what I'm saying is that for me, it's the unexpected that really keeps me going, the unexpected signs and breadcrumbs that we get along the way, because there can be long periods of silence, right? Like long periods of no signs. And that doesn't mean that something's wrong. It's just a lull, right? It's just quiet. And that's okay. But when they come back around, when the signs come back around and it's like this exciting journey and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in the flow of something, like spirit is leading me or it's talking to me. That's also contributes to how I make myself feel safe in the world.
And I feel like no signs is a sign. No signs is like pause, rest.
I love that. And I think that's true. And that's what I was, trying to speak to, is that it's not a bad thing, but it does need to be noticed, right? If there's a quiet in spirit communication, okay. For me, it's happened, in that 3-year period, there was a long time. And part of that is I dropped a lot of practices out of necessity because I just didn't have the bandwidth to support it. And for me, at the end of the day, where it's led me to is right here, right now. Like that's my spirituality. If I feel alive, whether I'm in grief or I'm feeling like really great and connected, all of those things are part of the spiritual path.
So very few people know, listening to this, that Sarah and I created an online program several years ago called Be Your Own Guru.
Yeah.
And it stemmed from my dear sister, Janice, who has since passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking a bunch of classes and working with a bunch of healers and constantly taking in information. And
Mm-hmm.
she used to call me Martha. We had kind of a funny nickname together. And she said, Martha, why don't you just be your own guru?
Mm.
And I was like, now that's the name of a program. And in that program, we talked about these things, right? About signs, about intuition, about the fallow periods. When we're recording this, we're in the fall, heading towards the winter. We also had you and I co-created a program called Wintering Well, which was about reclaiming the holiday season for ourselves and not being so caught up in the rush and the commercialism of it all. But I think there's a theme in what we're talking about here, which is the rhythm of nature and the fallow periods. And we're in such a go, get it done, be productive, be efficient kind of culture in our society. And especially people who are experiencing, for example, in your case, who might have health issues or they're raising families. How do we allow ourselves to take time and space for our own healing, for our own rest? We're not a culture that honors rest very well. And I also feel like post-pandemic, we're even worse at that. It's sort of like, okay, everything's up and running. Like, we got to go. Part of what we're talking about here is honoring those cycles. One of my teachers, Angela Zarian, used to say, nature moves slow to medium and occasionally fast. So, a lion out in the savannah is laying there resting most of the time. Occasionally it goes after a gazelle, eats it, and then goes back to nap. And we in our culture, we're just fast, 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 fast all the time. And so I think there's something we can, by like you tuning into the birds and me standing out and listening to the bird song in the morning, how do we tune into nature? How do we allow sort of the ebb and flow? Or like you were saying, I had to take some time off. I had to take a couple years back.
A couple years, yes.
I mean, you were full on. You were coaching, you were full on helping during the pandemic when people were in a mental health crisis, helping others. And then, to honor yourself and to say, I need to step back. Of course, not everybody financially can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we adjust our lives to do that, to put that and trust? Like, I feel like there's an element here of I'm going to step back, trusting that it will emerge. I'm going to sit with the silence, trusting that I will be guided when the time is right.
Absolutely. I have a mountain of evidence. So I don't take other people's word for anything when it comes to spirit, like messages from spirit. I only accept the ones that I see in nature and that are communicating to me. And I have a mountain of evidence from the last 20 years that spirit does talk to me and I am led to certain things. And it's way beyond my control.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you, Laura. I have so much gratitude for you and the things that we're able to discuss and share with each other. I mean, this is a private area of people's lives. And, it's not something I necessarily even openly discuss with my inner circle sometimes.
Well, thank you for trusting me.
Yeah.
And sharing your stories.
Thank you, Laura.
It's time for me to choose. What do I really want in my life? It seems that for too many years I'm only turning around. And so the story goes.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Surrendering to the Signs. I hope you found it inspiring. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Also, feel free to hop on over to surrenderingtothesigns.com, where you can download our free e-guide with examples and your own workbook to help you identify your signs. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode and wish you well.